And welcome to another episode of 30 Minutes, Thursday tea time at 3:30. Today you'll hear from Pernod Ricard about data, innovation and cut-through, and we'll also hear from two members from our curated portfolio, Eyeota on how to activate internal data to boost media and marketing ROI, and Wagawin, who deliver first-party data for brands by making ads more engaging. If you've ever got some dosh which needs looking after, or seek help with challenging financial matters, or need some legal brainpower, then look no further than our fabulous sponsors Investec, Lewis Silkin and Hayes McIntyre. They're genuinely happy to give any friend of grey hair works free advice. Just ask us for an introduction and we promise you'll sleep better at night. For those of you who don't know who we are, it's simple really. We know you're under permanent attack from ill-prepared vendors who do not listen and are incapable of presenting themselves to you in a way which makes sense. We get to know you, understand your problems, and then suggest curated solutions, services, and people who can reduce your headaches around marketing, commerce, and HR. With our no-nonsense approach, we're lucky enough to be helping these household names with our services and introducing them to solutions and people who can help them make a difference. We're backed up by a team of 75 mature C-level executives from major brands, retailers, and agencies from around the world who help us make a genuine difference. This was our last knees up in about 1932. We've curated a portfolio of SaaS solutions which are best in breed. We've sifted through the dross to find the gems which make a genuine difference. We then explain them to you in a no-nonsense and concise way and let you choose whether you would like to engage with them direct. Simples. And please think of us as we trawl through them and endure endless repetitive presentations of solutions claiming to be revolutionary, game-changing, and AI-embracing. But in the words of our political leaders, by doing the hard graft, we can present to you the creme de la creme of compelling solutions and services, leading you to the sunlit uplands where you can frolic gaily whilst performing your daily activities with ease. One company which probably benefited from the recent heroic football shenanigans is Pernod Ricard, which is the world's #2 wines and spirits brand. And we're delighted to be joined today by Ian Peart, who's the commercial director in the UK. Ian, welcome. You're on mute. You're on mute. Bottom left, there we go.
Oh, hello.
Well,
I failed the first test again. That's only 16 months we've been doing this, isn't it? So anyway, great to be here, Alex. Thank you for inviting me.
Now, I guess first and pretty obvious question, particularly for an alcohol brand, is over the last couple of years, you must have seen many shifts in consumer behaviour.
Yes, and actually a lot of the trends that we've been seeing, Alex, have been accelerated during the lockdown period, which is, you know, it's been very dynamic for us. Probably if I look at I like to do things in threes, you know, keep it simple as I know you guys do as well. I mean, we've seen premiumization, so a lot of people with sort of affordable treats, people trading up from a standard brand and exploring and buying more expensive products, which has been great. We've also seen the rise of a cocktail culture. Now, I'm of a certain age as well, so kind of going back, I like your bar photo just then, but you know, people only had cocktails when they're on holiday or they went to a kind of 5-star hotel. But the reality is now there's about 40% of all of our kind of on-trade outlets have some kind of cocktail offering. And people, I mean, particularly as you can imagine during lockdown, not everybody was just baking banana bread and doing all those sort of things. Everyone sort of got their inner Tom Cruise working and started on cocktails. So we've seen a massive increase in cocktail ingredients and people trying things at home. And actually quite interesting though, when they've gone back into the on-trade, they're still taking that habit with them. And I think it's the sort of, let's see how the bartender does it and can I do a better one at home? So we've seen that kind of actually building and quite a virtuous circle in terms of cocktail culture within the UK. And then finally, I mean, the UK is actually kind of an increasingly trends-led drinks market. So things used to be quite slow paced, but now it's actually kind of certainly for an alcohol, very, very trends driven. So, you know, we all know about the gin boom, but, you know, very quickly within gin, it was all about flavored gin and different types of flavors, We've seen that spill over. Now we've got flavoured whiskies, we've got flavoured rums. People are moving on to different categories as well. So we're having to work pretty fast to kind of keep up with that, and that's why innovation is pretty important. And then obviously from a kind of structural commercial point of view, it's only really within the last sort of 5 or 6 years that alcohol's been sold in any kind of quantities online. So the growth in that has been pretty dynamic, and obviously again accelerated through lockdown. So that's a completely new channel for us. And then everybody coming into, all of our customers into some kind of digitalization has again been something that we've had to grapple with and try to keep in front of.
So, I mean, you're talking about the need to innovate as different formats, etc., come together. What is the broad approach to innovation within Pernod Ricard?
Well, as you'd expect me to say, I mean, we talk to consumers. I mean, so that's just an ongoing thing. We have a live consumer panel, and then we obviously do other research as we're coming into launching products or different campaigns. But that's not just, and we're asking about specific things to do with our brands and our products, but also more kind of general trends about what they're drinking in other categories, what they're consuming from a food type groups, because it's, are there different countries of origin that are on the rise? Are there different sort of flavor profiles? Are they going on holidays different places because they're picking up drinking habits there? When we could go on holiday, that obviously being the caveat to that. So we're trying to get that kind of broad view of consumers to decide and predict what's going to come down the line, because actually it's a bit of a relatively slow innovation cycle in alcohol, because you've got to do the product innovation, you've got to then test, you've got to do stability testing, you've got to find the right packaging. So you're talking typically 12 to 18 months. We're trying to compress that process to get from an idea into actually getting something on shelf or at the back of bar. So we're working that far ahead to try and keep ahead of the pace. But as I say, very dynamic market, hugely competitive.
So, I mean, one thing you mentioned, the dreaded word packaging. Dare I ask what the approach towards sustainability and being a better citizen?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And, as you'd expect from a global point of view, it is pretty front and center in our strategy now. And in fact, some of the research I just mentioned we do with our consumers, we do talk about sustainability, responsibility, and the expectation is that over 80% of consumers just expect you as a big business that you are doing the right things in terms of packaging, in terms of sourcing, in terms of your carbon footprint, and also in terms of now giving back, donating back and doing the right things from a societal point of view. So, it's the right thing to do, as being a big business in the world, but it commercially now it's quite important for us, and it's to get that message across to consumers that we're doing the right thing. Packaging, a huge amount of work that we're doing on that. Obviously, most of our products are in glass, but obviously they're coming in cardboard, and then they've been shipped across the world in certain cases. So it's a huge amount of focus for us. We want to be carbon neutral by 2030 as a business. We've got a number of initiatives play. I'm launching one. We've got one with Coca-Cola that we're launching next week in the UK about net zero pubs and bars, that we're working with the Sustainable Restaurant Association on, which is actually providing tools for a pub or a bar to assess where they are in terms of their sustainability, and also importantly what they can do about that to improve it. So it is front and center. We're putting a lot of focus towards it at the moment.
Okay, so I mean, in terms of pubs and bars, having occasionally ventured out to them since they've reopened, we're now in a new world of apps where I sort of sit at my table and have to order something. How do you then get cut through in a situation like that, where discoverability must be more challenging?
Yeah, and it's new game for a lot of the on-trade customers and the pubs and bars as well. And it'll be quite interesting as of for next week. Thank to a certain point that the restrictions are off, and you should be able to walk to a bar and actually order a drink for the first time for the best part of 18 months will be a bit of a novelty. And I think it's split about how many people will do that and how many people are quite happy actually to be sitting at their table and getting the table service. And certainly in our household, my son much rather do it on an app and sit on the table. I'm pretty much sure that I'll be going to the bar. But you know, there's going to be a place for both, obviously, going forward. I think, yeah, I mean, what we'll be trying to do is work with our kind of on-trade customers on the app side, because I think a lot of the learnings that we've had working with the online retailers, the .com part of the big supermarkets, about just what we would call brilliant basics, about imagery, about placement on screen, about taxonomy, about the right level of information on your drinks. All of those sort of things, even display ads and things, are relatively new in that sector. We have some experience, and again, it's just kind of working with them, also within the confines of them getting back up to speed and trying to, you know, get a sustainable businesses going forward. But yeah, it's certainly it's kind of a new frontier, and I think we're at the beginning of that. But it's certainly an area that's just going to become increasingly important going forward.
Now, an area, when you and I were talking earlier, an area which you said is becoming increasingly important for you is data. How are you using data at the moment?
Yeah, it's quite interesting working for a global business and obviously kind of have an overview of what's happening in other markets. Certainly from a drinks point of view, a drinks industry point of view, the UK is probably viewed as the most sophisticated market with the level of data that we have from anywhere around the globe. So we have more data in our business, and you know, we get, just from a commercial point of view, we have EPOS data coming in from all of the big supermarkets on a kind of daily basis. We've got category data. We now got data from the convenience side of the business. We get data from some of the big wholesale customers as well. So we're awash with commercial data. Then we've got all of this consumer data coming in as well. So that in itself, as we know, probably everyone on this call, and that breeds a challenge for us. So because I always say that's great, but are we making better decisions as a result? Because I mean, ultimately that is what it's there for. You know, and so what does that mean for me? Again, the rule of three. You know, does it tell us how we are doing better than just having a look? I get fed up when people come in to me and say, "Oh, we're growing at 10%." So what? So is 10% good, or what's everyone else doing? Yeah, you know, what do we think we were doing? What's the category doing? What's our competitors doing? You know, are we missing anything? Is the data actually then telling us areas we're not doing so well, we haven't got a product, or we're not meeting a particular consumer need? Or actually, is the data making us more efficient and more effective at what we're currently doing? So you get into, are we putting our investment in the right places? Are we getting the level of promotional return effectiveness, the level of promotional returns that we could expect? So you sort of kind of break it down into those areas. And for me, kind of running the commercial department, that's what I need. So, you know, that's always my kind of challenge on data. Yes, it's all out there. Inherently, you think it's a good thing that we've got it, but we have to get it into a format that then just makes us make better informed business decisions.
Well, I mean, talking about getting data into the right format, I think it's now a perfect time to bring in Aaron from Eyeota, one of our portfolio of solutions. Aaron, do you want to take us through how a company like Eyeota could help?
Sure. Thanks, Alex, and thanks, Ian. So today I want to introduce Eyeota cohort onboarding. And cohort, by definition, is a group of users that share a characteristic. And Eyeota onboarding is designed to effectively maximize the intelligence that sits within a brand's first-party data for the use of customer acquisition. So towards the end of last year, we commissioned Forrester Research to do a study for us to understand how brands were leveraging first-party data. Not surprisingly, or more than 70% see the value in their first-party data, but unfortunately, 48% of them are unable to leverage first-party data assets, and 71%, which is another stat that I think is important, looking at acquiring new customers as a priority in their business. Why those two things are important? First of all, being unable to leverage first-party data. This might be because it sits in silos across the business. You might not have the maturity or the resource within the business to analyze it effectively. And the important thing I want to note about the 71% of acquiring new customers is that the current onboarding solutions in market, or that have been in market for a period of time, which is deterministic onboarding, do not solve the challenge of talking or finding new customers. Deterministic onboarding is really a fantastic opportunity for retention, personalization, talking to your existing customer base, but it doesn't necessarily help you acquire new customers. Cohort onboarding is about looking at that intelligence that sits inside your first party data, being able to build cohorts and groups of type of users in line with your marketing strategies and build that out. So let's look at that in practice. We worked with a leading retail chain, and they had an upcoming promotion on organic products that they really wanted to focus on. So we accessed their first party data and analyzed things like the spending habits, the genders that sat within their first party data, as well as the geographies that sat within their first party data. So we analyzed all of the different traits and behaviors from those group of users that were already buying those type of products. And then we matched that into the Eyeota marketplace and scaled it from being 50,000 customers to over 500,000 potential customers that they could target through programmatic ecosystems. We then delivered that data to them within their existing infrastructure. So their existing demand side platform, their existing data management platform, and their existing social media platform. And so what that really was able to give them was the ability to target potential new customers using that intelligence that sits within their data. And just quickly deep diving into that. So this data sits across all of it, across all of a brand's business. It sits in silos, it sits in pockets. It's about analyzing the consumers you have vertical by vertical or brand by brand across all of the business, not just the data you have online or not just the data you can match deterministically. It's done at a non-PII level, and is privacy safe, and that's how we do that. And so just finally, it's about activating first party data, finding new customers to target and grow your business, works across over 100 markets across the globe, flexible and scalable, and is very privacy safe. Thank you. I think, Ian, have you got any questions for me?
Yeah, sure. So thanks for that, Aaron. Very clear. And certainly sort of leveraging data sort of ties into what I was talking about earlier. So I'm a big fan of that. I mean, you mentioned an example there of a retail chain that you're working with, but us as a branded business, if we take Pernod Ricard, would it work for us and how would I test it?
Yeah, sure. So depending on how you wanted to test in terms of whether you wanted to look at one specific brand across a specific market. So if you took the UK, for example, and just wanted to look at one of your spirit brands, you could look at the data that sits within just that pocket of your business, or you could look at data that sits across all of your portfolio and analyze the behaviors for one specific brand. It can be tactical in terms of doing it for one specific campaign or over the course of a particular time to look at the consumer journey as well.
Okay, very flexible. I mean, this is a hot topic at the moment, isn't it? Is about the kind of data privacy perspective. If you were utilizing my first party data, so talk to us about that. How does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, from a privacy perspective, we don't want to extract any PII from a brand whatsoever. We know the ever-growing challenge that exists, not just in Europe, but as markets in America and markets across Asia and Australia start to change their privacy laws as well. We don't take any PII. What you're actually using is the attributes that sit within your business, not the individuals that sit within your business. And then when you're onboarding that into our marketplace, it uses consented profiles that we can then use online to then target people. So we've already gathered that consent on the brand's behalf, essentially. So using your intelligence, our scale, and our consent means that privacy doesn't become a barrier to entry.
And again, then, so nobody else would have access to that data,
No, so the data we extract from a brand is all about analysis. So we're building propensity models out of the data that sits from a Pernod Ricard, for example. And then when we are sending that across to an activation platform, a brand will nominate where they want that to go. So if in your DSP, you have a specific DSP you want to use, you would nominate your seat. We'd send that through as a private segment for your use and your use alone.
Oh, very good, very good. And then I assume from what you said earlier on, I mean, is it a tactical play? Do you see long-term campaigns? I mean, how scalable would it be for a business like us?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've successfully onboarded data in over 40 markets around the globe. We have data in over 100 markets around the globe. So there is a consistency around the methodology in the way in which we onboard. It's all about being able to understand, extract the various pieces of information from a different market for you, and depending on how you want to align your campaigns over a period of time as well. If you're looking at a spirit specific long-term campaign, you could build that out that way. If you're looking at specific wines, you could build it out that way. It really depends on how you want to work over a longer period, but it works best when it's not just tactical, because your audience is an ever-growing, ever-changing landscape. The consumers and the types of people that you want to target will continue to change, and therefore so should your targeting data. So just like you were saying before, there was a growth in the cocktail area of your business. What you want to understand is, what do those people look like? Who are they? How do they live and breathe? How do I find those people in a sea of potential targeting?
Brilliant.
Well, thanks very much, Aaron. And now I suspect is a perfect time to bring in Nico for Wagawin. We've been talking about data. Wagawin is another one of our portfolio companies, and they specialize in generating first-party data for advertisers. So Nico, do you want to tell us a little bit more about Wagawin?
Absolutely. And thanks, Alex, and thanks, Ian. So I'm Nico from Wagawin. We are a marketing technology company from Munich, Germany. And what we basically do is we make mobile device users, as you can see here, feel appreciated. So let me introduce the technology that we have invented. We call it living ads. And living ads basically bring interaction elements known from social media to the open web. So what you can see here is, on the next slide, is a mobile website, a normal mobile website. However, the ad you see isn't static, right? It's presented with a Tinder mechanic, and users in this case choose their favorite coffee taste by swiping the corresponding card to the right. And it goes without saying that everything is tracked and shared with the coffee producer in real time. And it's just one of plenty examples. We have many more living ads, but they all have one thing in common: leveraging on learned mobile behavior, mainly known from social media. So the question is, why do brands use living ads? So using living ads is as easy as pie. Our technology turns any existing video or display ad into a living ad within a few minutes. Next benefit is that the reach is endless, as we have access to all mobile websites and apps globally. So there's absolutely no scalability issue, no matter which country in the world. So living ads in the end generate up to 5 times more user data than standard solutions. Why? Because with standard solutions, you only generate data in case a user clicks. So just ask yourself, when did you click on a mobile ad for the very last time? Another benefit is that living ads do not only generate outstanding results for upper and mid funnel campaigns, but they also unlock data that will boost the lower funnel activities. So the extracted data is used to approach users. Next slide, please. The extracted data is used to approach users based on their interest, no matter where they are. So if you swipe the Big Mac to the right while you're reading the news in the morning, the Big Mac will appear in your Instagram feed during your lunch break. Sorry, that was not the Big Mac example, it was the BMW example. So you're swiping the corresponding model to the right. So that's what we are talking about here is BMW. In Q4 last year, we started our partnership with BMW within different markets. I brought some insights from one flight, which was live in Hungary. So no worries, you don't need to speak Hungarian to understand what's happening here. One living ad we are using works like polls known from Instagram stories. We use it to figure out the reasons why people may be interested to buy a new car. And another living ad works like Facebook Live videos. We used emoticons to measure how different users react to video content. The cool thing is that our technology gives us direct access to user preferences at scale in any country in this world. The test was super successful, and that's why we are now working on follow-up projects for BMW in 5 different markets. And just look at the unlocked data. BMW wouldn't be able to collect any of these data points without us. And this ultimately led to the fact that we increased the conversion rate of BMW on their landing page in Hungary by 22%. So that's it. Thanks for your attention. And Ian, if you have any questions, just let me know.
Sure. Thanks, Nico. Again, very super clear. I can follow that one for sure. I'll play the big corporation card that I'm part of there. I mean, how do you tackle the GDPR issue? You know, do you have to give consent before your data is used?
Yeah, exactly. So we are collecting data on behalf of our clients, and the user needs to consent for us to be allowed to process the data. So as you can imagine, we are a German company, so GDPR is an important topic here. But to answer it, we are always the processor, and the controller of the data is always the brand. So it will belong to the brand, and the user needs to consent. If there's no consent, we will not process the data point.
Okay, and you know, from seeing it firstly there, I mean, there are a lot of interactive ads that I get, you know, on my personal feed at the moment. So what differentiates your offering to everything else that's in the market? Yeah, exactly. So like from a front end perspective, so what the users see, this is similar to what you know from other interactive solutions. The I would say extremely difficult part happens in the back end. So really processing every single data point, no matter which kind of browser, which kind of app, and making it available in whatever kind of data platforms out there, from DMPs to CDPs to CRM systems, and to be able to process the way in real time and to make it available within the systems. This is really quite a lot of back-end work that happened here. And we put in a lot of years of development. So the front-end part is not the tricky one, but really what's happening in the back-end, that's where we put all our effort in. Okay, I understand the richness there. And where have you found is the most effective place to display your ads? I mean, where do you get the most interaction and the most success? So it like this totally depends on the audience of our customers. So BMW, obviously, you will try to reach a different audience than you would try with, for instance, whatever kind of Mattel or other companies. So we see best results when you're targeting a potential BMW customer on a website, maybe a newspaper website, knowing that the income is according to someone who can afford buying a BMW. So this really depends on the client. And you find everybody's quite happy to work with you and what you do. So all of the usual places that you would put an ad like this, yeah? Yeah. So like wherever you see ads on your mobile device, you can also see a solution coming from us. Yeah. Cool. And in terms of the asset creation itself, is that done with yourselves, or is that done separately with an agency? No, we just need the creatives that are already done by the creative agency, and they will be uploaded to our dashboard. And in our dashboard, you can turn it within 3 to 4 minutes into a living ad. So no need to come up with additional creatives, no additional money to be invested, no additional time to be invested. Okay, that's perfect. It.
Great. Nico, thank you very much indeed. As ever, really wanted to thank our guest today. Ian was great. We heard about premiumization, brilliant basics, and aiming to become carbon neutral by 2030. We then heard from Eyeota about how they help corporates turn offline customer data into digital audience profiles and getting it into a usable state for turbocharging the performance of digital marketing campaigns. We then heard from Nico at Wagawin about how effortless personalization makes digital ads more engaging, increases conversion rates, and drives data for the advertiser. If you've missed one of our previous sessions and would like to access a recording, please just let us know at bingo@greyhairworks.com. Otherwise, make a note that we're going to be giving everyone a break next month in August, and we will be back on Thursday, the 23rd of September with a big brand. Can't tell you who it is yet, when we'll also hear insights from them. Thanks as ever to our sponsors, Thank you, the audience, for joining. Have a great summer and catch up next time.